the wonderful Elvis, and we're going to be talking about a few subjects: Sri Lanka, the Armenian genocide, and the veterans, the British veterans, and their feelings towards Islam and Northern Ireland and what they're going through. So Sri Lanka, everyone's still in shock, mainly in shock at the government's responses around the world, how easy they all condemned when it was the Muslims killed by an atheist. But because the skin was white, it was very nice and easy and comfortable for them. But with Sri Lanka, it's brown against brown, and the actual outrage that should be for 320 people, Christians, killed. There's nothing. They call them the Easter worshippers, as if there was such a religion. Absolutely disgusting response from all of them. And I really do think, particularly from Ireland, as a 90% population is Catholic, that all of the government should be taken out and shot. Absolutely disgusting response from another Catholic country to 320, mainly Catholics, but Christians in general, being killed. How have you been anyway this week, and what's your feelings on what's going on?
Hi, it's a mixed feeling. It was Easter. We're supposed to celebrate it, and it turns bloody. We had a couple of demonstration here back in London. Actually, two by the veterans. One of them was on the 19th, and the other one was on the week after that it was. So the first one, they came by the motorbike. They estimated there were around 30 to 35,000 people, veterans. They came in solidarity with Soldier F. That's what they called it. And
Elvis, was this to do with Northern Ireland?
Yeah, it was for the soldiers. After 45, can you believe it? 45 years, they now trying to bring them to court. And these people are old. Some of them, they are having a health problem. I don't understand this logic behind this, really. I mean, I really don't. And
do you think it's a bit more divide? What do you think this is about? I mean, I'm sure Sinn Féin and all that are really happy about this because they're complete, scumbag leftists. I mean, I do think, and maybe it's just because I'm from the Republic and stuff like that, a lot of the British soldiers, there was a lot of bad done. I'm not saying it was just the British soldiers. There was a lot of bad done on both sides and everything. But I suppose the thing with the British soldiers was that they were supposed to be there, to respect the people. And I do know of an awful lot of stories where that wasn't true. And there was an awful lot of horrible things done. I do think people do want justice, as in, things like the Bloody Sunday, things like that had happened. So my point of view would be because I'm from the Republic. So I did hear and I had known that, there was a lot of people who created that that hatred. I do understand that at the time, I suppose a lot of the British soldiers were young. They thought they were going into a war to kind of keep the peace, or I don't know what they thought. I think they were sold a story, that they were going into. They didn't really understand they were going into a war as such, I don't think, and I don't think that they understood the politics of Ireland. Now, whether they should have been sent in is another question. It's really, that whole thing is quite difficult because it's such wrapped in Irish history and Irish politics. And it was, really the biggest bombs that people don't understand during the time of the so-called Troubles was actually in Dublin and Monaghan. And most people don't realise that was the biggest bombing. And it was a huge explosive, that there was no way that it was organised by a terrorist organisation. It was by, as far as most people in Ireland are concerned, by the British Army. And the British government have never owned up to that. And it saw many people killed and named for life. And that was kind of shocking. And I do think that, you know, whatever about even Bloody Sunday, which was horrific, and there wasn't just one Bloody Sunday in Ireland, there was two. One of them was actually in a GAA pitch in Croke Park, which was the first one, again by British soldiers. So the problem with British soldiers in Ireland, it's really got a very bad rap. And I don't know whether pouring it out in this way is the right way. I don't know whether bringing them to court and all this sort of things. I do know an awful lot was wrong. And I'm saying on both sides. I'm not just saying, but I do think that, I suppose, not excusing IRA or UD, but they were terrorism organisations where with the British soldiers you would respect, or you do expect some sort of level of, I don't know, level of respectability, and that wasn't there with the British soldiers. I think what happened was, and what people really have to understand, is they went over there very young, and I don't think they understood the situation that they were going into. No. They didn't realise the level of hatred that was there and that gained for them. And the frustration, and it was a very difficult situation because the training wasn't really, they didn't really understand what was going on. So they went in, and the level of fear, because at any time they could be killed, because it was a war on a street.
That's right.
So I do understand from their point of view, but their level of hatred and their anger, I mean, they shot people, children, mainly with plastic bullets. And a lot of children in Northern Ireland died. And purely, the children weren't at war. They were like literally young children. And the majority of people killed up there were kids. By the British soldiers, by plastic bullets. And there's never been any British government to come out and apologise for a lot of the wrongs. I'm not even asking for the British soldiers. You know, for me, I think it should have been the British government, should be the British government. And like things like Dublin and Monaghan bombings, which was the biggest bombings, and it wasn't by any terrorist organisation. It was by the British military. And for them not even to come out and acknowledge that they had done that, they'd blown people up out of frustration because they couldn't get the IRA. So out of frustration, they blew up innocent Irish people in Dublin and Monaghan. They went and they shot innocent Irish children with plastic bullets and killed them upright. They went up to their faces and shot them dead because out of frustration and anger and fear. But they were angry and fear from the IRA because they couldn't get the IRA. The IRA kept going into the border and disappearing. They also used to get across the border and what was known as paddy beating. They'd pick up an Irish person, mainly males, and beat them to an inch of their lives. And it was widely known on both sides of the border that this was happening. And nothing was stopped. And during the times of Derry, like the things that the Irish community went through in Northern Ireland is horrific. And there's never been an apology from the British government. I'm not really, for me, I don't think it's necessary for the British soldiers. A lot of the time, I suppose they feel like they were doing their jobs. It's not even that. I think the British government, because they're the ones who sent them in, they're the ones who knew they couldn't have gone and blown up Dublin and Monaghan without the British government knowing about it. And it was such, the devices were so expert. There wasn't, the IRA weren't capable of it. And obviously the IRA weren't going to blow up Dublin. Never mind, the UDA didn't have the capability of that explosive, it was detonated to go off at the same time. Like, it was way far too superior to be a terrorist organisation. It had to be a British army. And they never came out in the middle of that. And at least, even if they admitted that, and that was back in 1972, and I know people who was affected by that bomb because it was in Dublin, and it was huge. It blew up so many people and left people without arms, legs, and it was right in the centre. And there's never been an apology from the British government. And that, I think, and even, the Paddy beatings and the people who were locked up in, in England who were Irish, who just happened to be Irish, caught in the wrong place. There was so many wrongs done there. And I do understand the veterans feeling that 42 years is a long time. But I suppose if you'd lost your family member 42 years ago, or they'd lost a leg or something for no reason. Like, these people blown up in Dublin and Monaghan were in shops. They blew up shops.
Let me explain it to you. Let's explain it to you to understand it better. Actually, you are absolutely right. What you're saying, you're absolutely right. Spot on. Well, the thing is, these young soldiers, not only they were inexperienced, they did not have any experience, and they didn't probably know exactly where they're going or what they're going to be doing. Brief things, because majority of these things, don't forget, they were top secret and they couldn't reveal to everybody and just say, yeah, it's such and such happening there, whatever. For the national panic, basically, people would be too scared that nobody would go to army anymore. Do you get me? So that was a reason that they keep it sort of away from the awareness of people that what exactly happening in there. I was a soldier, right? I spent years, in the Iran-Iraq war, and that was a formal war, what we know as a field, basically battle, yeah.
Not warfare.
And what it is, the second type is the militia or guerrilla war, which is unorganized and is got no formal pattern of fighting. And generally speaking, a soldier, right, especially during the war, he got less of a rest time, time to rest or have something. It happened to me many times that after a long hours on post and kind of walking this and that, I was so exhausted that even when I was going to go to sleep, my body was still active, so I couldn't get sleep. By the time I was going to go to sleep,
quick thing. I understand what you're saying, and that's normal. But what I'm saying, the level of hatred that grew, that I'm not saying what's going is right. I would even remember, right, and I'm from the Republic, being absolutely terrified when I saw a British soldier. I know that the hatred in their eyes, you Paddy, move out of the way, you Paddy. And that's the way they talk to us. They absolutely hated us. They hated us being in this country. And they used to get on. Like, my dad used to go up there. Like, many Irish people used to go up to Northern Ireland because things were cheaper up there. And they'd get on a bus, right? And they would put guns to your faces and call you a Paddy. Get off the bus, you Paddy. And they would go really horrible. The hatred, like, a soldier put a gun to my mother's face, and my father got up and he screamed at us, "Get the fucking gun out of her face, or I'm going to kill you." And they literally would drag him off and kick the shit out of him off the bus because he stood up, because he didn't want a gun in her face. And they were just going up shopping. They weren't doing anything like, the level of hatred up there was so unreal. The level of the British soldiers' hatred towards the Paddies, as they saw, they didn't feel that we had a right to be in our country. They didn't feel like we had a right to live. And the amount of times that they had beaten people to death, and that all of it was covered up for years. The things that they did in this island was outrageously, like, and as I mentioned, the Dublin bombings and the Monaghan's, they were the biggest bombings done by the British Army. Now it's an emotional subject for me because it's years of something I grew up in and was born into. I'm watching all of it. Now, obviously, I saw it from a different side than what the British would have seen it at, because they were my people, and and you see your people being killed, and and you hear of it. I mean, the first things growing up at that time was black flags all around the country, and and I was absolutely terrified of the British flag and the British accent and British soldiers. Absolutely terrified me. Now, when I was in England, obviously it didn't terrify me, but even seeing the British flag used to rail up anger in me and fear, because that's what you were living in. And I'm from the Republic. So you can imagine what it was like up there for them.
Yeah. You see, I wasn't here in London at the time. Yeah, I wasn't here, so I didn't know what's exactly happening here. Basically, we were hearing whatever it was on the news, and they were broadcasting on the news. But when I came here, people were talking about it, especially my Irish friends. Yeah, they were saying it was such a level of hatred that even on the shop they were saying, "No dogs, no Irish." Yeah.
Blacks, no dogs, no
Blacks,
Irish.
yeah.
I thought it was always you Paddy, get off the bus, you thick Mick. And that it still rings in my head when I hear the accent. And I'm sorry, but that was the time I was born in. And that's how the British soldiers talk to you. And that is shoppers going across Northern Ireland. This is what Catholic communities had to live with. And that's what they were.
What I'm trying to explain. You see, these level of hatreds, if you want to think about it, right, is like, I haven't seen you, I haven't met you, I don't know who you are, and I keep swearing at you. Oh, you F this, you F that, you F that. How does it happen? Is of the brainwash, you see. The same, it's very interesting that the very same people, very same nation, who had such a hatred towards Irish, their own people, I would say, their own cousin, their own neighbors, they had such an, and now nation actually coming from abroad, from a totally different culture and blood and religion and faith and everything, they licking their ass. And these people are hundreds of times more doing damages, doing bombing, doing killing, doing raping, even things that the Irish never ever did in here, right? And they licking their ass, and they actually protecting them, defending them, and all that. And I will come to that regarding this after March, that I spoke to a few of the veterans. I was absolutely gobsmacked. I was shocked what I heard. It was shocking. I will come to that. But you see, generally speaking, what it is the soldier that it comes to imagine to your land. He doesn't know anything about you, but he's been brainwashed. Because I know, I was in the army, and I know how they brainwash you before they send you forward. They make the image of this so-called enemy as the beast, as the most vicious ever created by universe, right? Which is not true, right? Imagine they talking about the IRA, but hold on. Innocent people are not IRA, right? But when the guy actually comes to your land, he thinks everybody's IRA, even the kids being born is IRA. That's the level of stupidity and brainwash that they're using. Even they're using it now in a different different pattern, right? For a different politic. But the soldier is very actually vulnerable when he is in the battlefield, right? imagine, especially in that situation, that he is not in a field. It's in a very kind of difficult situation. He doesn't know who's around the corner of the wall, who's around the corner of the street, who's on the roof, who's downstairs, and where the bullet coming towards him, right? He doesn't know anything. And imagine the level of panic, stress, tiredness, physically, mentally. It comes to the level of being there, that you even might shoot your own shadow. Imagine you are scared of your own shadow, right? Little sort of bang, you might sort of start shooting like hundreds of bullets towards it, yeah? Because you put yourself in their shoes. They are young soldiers, yeah, hot-blooded, sort of thick-headed in a way, arrogant, right? They got the guns and everything, and they got the uniform, and they think now they are Rambo. They can do anything they want, and with a combination of a brainwash, a bit of a this and that, and they turn to totally different animals, right? So that's the very brief of what's happening there. Anyway, after 42, 45 years, I think the government, to be honest with you, should be taking responsibility and pay the compensation or whatever and deal with it. Because look, these people are now old. Some of them, they got grandkids. Some of them got physical sort of disabilities. And it's not fair, really, because of the government ignorance and negligent. After 42 years, come and say, yeah, I'm going to bring you to justice. No, this is not fair. If you want to bring it to justice, maximum, they should have a time limit of 10 years. If you got everything within this 10 years, fine, come and talk to me. Otherwise, bugger off and deal with it yourself. It was a war, the government
Absolutely.
started
I
it,
do
and
think,
it's not my business.
absolutely. No, like, I mean, I think a lot of the stuff that happened was disgusting and whatever. But I think it was up to the British government
Yeah.
to do. I don't think at this stage, as I said, I do understand now, and it's taken me years, but they were young, and they did stupid things. Anyone more than, a lot of the IRA who got involved and a lot of the youth, they were young
Yeah.
as well, and they were
Yeah.
angry as well. I mean, there was an awful lot of stuff that went on, and I do think, the governments are the ones to blame because they're the ones who sent them in. They're the ones who, created this
Yeah.
problem. Um,
Yeah.
and they were the ones who put up those so-called peace walls, which create more problems. But I do think that it was governments, and including the Irish government, had its hand in the mess of there.
Yeah.
But I think that's the ones who really should talk. I think about the soldiers. No, I think time has passed. Any more than the IRA, I don't think, as much as they blew up people in England. I think its time is past. They were all we were all born in this crazy island with a crazy history of 800 years of a war. And we were all brought up with this history and this anger. And with the British, they were sent into something that they didn't really understand. So it was a very twisted thing. But it was up to governments to not have put their hand into it, and that's what really happened. And I do think that the British government was a huge part to play in it. But you know what? Interesting, years later, I was reading. I was up in Donegal, and there's an area there which is, dedicated to the Troubles and what had happened, and tells a story. And an interesting thing was that after Ireland had signed into NATO, we then got peace, because originally there was a story that in the 70s that London had decided to give Northern Ireland back, well, however you see it, back, or hand it over, however you see it, to the Irish government. And Americans got involved, and the Americans were the one to say, no, It's in I think it's Bunratty. No, not Bunratty. Bandoran.
Yeah.
It's up at the top of Northern Ireland. There's a whole area up there anyway, to do with the famine and to do with all Irish history. But they have this part, and it was interesting. They said that so when London wanted to hand it over to the Irish government, it was the Americans who said no, because Ireland wasn't in NATO, and at that stage they had all their submarines on the top of Northern Ireland watching the Baltic states. So for them, that was more important, to watch all the Baltic states, so that because Ireland couldn't be trusted because it wasn't in NATO. So once Ireland signed into NATO, then a few years later, peace treaty was able to happen in '98. So it was almost like a lot of the governments had kept that going and throwing fuel into that fire to keep it going, to keep the British Army in there, to keep that separate, because Ireland wasn't in Baltic. Because when Ireland became independent in 1939, one of the things that De Valera wanted was neutrality and not being involved in anyone's war, so he wouldn't sign into NATO. And it was only in recent years. So that was an interesting thing. Sorry, Elvis. Yeah, but it is a bit of a mess, that situation.
Yeah. Time is passing. Let's go quickly through the talking about about the veterans. Yeah, these veterans. I had a high hope, and there is one particular guy comes and he got a dementia and he got severe disability. Bless him. He's a good looking tough, and he comes and he feels more responsible than any other, and he's inviting people to have a sort of like a mass demonstration around the country and bring everything to stand still, and sort of he's a real revolutionary man, although the name of revolution is not being loved and liked by majority of people that are spoken here. When you say revolution, they say no, we don't want it here. Although I believe they think the name of the revolution is limited to the communist countries and uncivilized countries, possibly Middle Eastern countries. And when you're saying revolution is a bad taboo thing, we don't want it here, it doesn't suit me. While the revolution means deconstruction and reconstruction of the system, which actually what we need at the moment, is not a bad word. This is what, when they say we want to get rid of this government, it is literally you talking about revolution, But these people, I don't know, they are living in a different planet, When I very briefly, when I spoke to a few of these bless them military people, the veterans, I was hoping they look beyond the military service, right, and feel more responsible. First of all, when I spoke about the Islam, immediately they started sort of the guards going up and defending Islam. And
Why do you think that is, Elvis?
I haven't got a clue. I really don't know why they. I mean, what is wrong with these people? I really don't understand. How long does it take for a man to understand? Look, this is the reality of Islam. What's happening? It's been happening for over decades, and you should have possibly absorbed it by now. You get it.
But they don't seem to be, no matter how much knowledge they have. Like, I've come across this before. They just can't get. It's like, we'll talk about Sri Lanka in a minute, but the thing with Sri Lanka is, the killings, they couldn't. None of the governments went out. You saw no Western media really condemning it like they did with New Zealand. And the reason is because it was brown against brown, or was it because it was Muslims against Christians?
Northern Irish veterans. We're going to be talking about Sri Lanka
and we are going to be talking about the Armenian genocide. So we have 3 things to talk about today with the wonderful Elvis. So he was telling us, anyway, he was finishing off about the Northern Irish veterans. I kind of gave my pennies worth. So just going to listen to Elvis and what his view is on that. So Elvis, you were saying?
Yeah, I was saying after the march, I was talking to a few of these veterans, and well, obviously I had a different view on them up until I spoke to not one, but quite a few of them. And the first thing I noticed when I asked them, we need more of these sort of marches, because they were about sort of a few thousands, yeah. The one with the motorbikes, they came, the very first one, they estimated something around 30,000 people. And the second one, they said something around over 10,000. And one of them turned to me and he said, well, not really. It takes a lot for a serviceman to rebel. I said, what do you mean? He said, we are out today to support our comrade and our colleagues who need our support. And literally, he wasn't interested to talk to me anymore, because he noticed I'm not with the veterans, I'm not sort of with them directly, but I'm there to support them only. And he possibly noticed, I'm sorry?
Do you think he might have been in fear that maybe you might have been some sort of reporter or something, and then you would go around?
No. They knew there were lots of so-called right-wing patriots basically joining them. And I later on spoke to a couple of more in the pub, basically after the march. And this guy, when I said we need to actually join and unite and get out, and when I was talking about the Islam, he started defending it, believe it or not.
Yeah, I'm not actually surprised, and I don't know why, but there's just so many brainwashed people that they can't seem to understand. It's not a race, it's not a colour, it's an actual religion. They still, even after Sri Lanka, which was brown against brown, the penny just doesn't seem to drop. Like, I've talked to so many of them till I'm blue in the face. They really can't get it. I think it's years of brainwashing that Islam, like, literally after every attack, it's like how wonderful Islam is. It's like insane. I mean, not even a consideration. After New Zealand, which is miles away from Ireland, the Irish government decided to put on Gardaí, which is the Irish police force, on mosques. After Sri Lanka, not even a word of condolence to 320 Christians killed. Not even a word. Well, absolutely disgusting.
Now the number's gone up to 360.
Jesus Christ.
And it's going up. Well, when I asked him, I said, I don't understand, you're defending Islam. And he said, no, I'm not defending. I said, do you know anything about Islam? And he started sort of to become a bit funny. And I said, let me show you how peaceful it is. So I got my mobile out and I got a sort of Quran on it. And when I was going to show him one of the verses that actually says, chop the legs and sort of hands off the non-believers, he started sort of like, no, don't show me that. We got plenty of that in the Old Testament. And I said, oh, you bring in Old Testament examples as well. I said, you're just talking like the Muslim, because immediately when you're talking about their religion is not peaceful, they refer to the Old Testament and they bring, oh, how about your Bible is not peaceful? You know, look at the Old Testament.
Yeah.
And then when I stopped the religious thing and I just wanted to actually see how is his patriotism in a way, I said, yeah, how about Tommy Robinson? And he told me, he said, look, mate, I want to go for a piss. Yeah. He didn't want to talk to me.
No.
He didn't show any interest. And the other one, who was standing next to him listening, the minute he noticed that, oh, yeah, he's not getting anywhere, he started talking to his friend before this guy goes to toilet, and then sort of I have a conversation with him. He started engaging himself with a conversation with another guy. So can you see where he's going? You know?
Yeah.
So I spoke to many more, they were exactly the same, right? And
Crazy.
I was really disappointed. I was seriously disappointed. You see, I find out how deep is the level of division in these people. They
But
got
you know what?
every kind
There's
of
I'll tell
division.
you something even more surprising. The opposite to them, right, which would be IRA sympathizers, say, okay? If you
Yeah,
went to them and you did the same thing, you'd have the same reaction.
yeah,
Like if you went to them and you told them about Islam, they'd literally come out with the same shit as they did there. Oh no, Islam's lovely. How dare you say that? Then you started
yeah,
showing them pictures. They go, oh, what about the Old Testament? What about what the Catholic Church did? Exactly the same. And they're on the opposite. They'd be like IRA sympathizers. That's how fucking deep this is. That's how dangerous. We
yeah,
are such in a bloody mess. When even
yeah.
those two who are arch enemies, actually, the one thing that they will kind of protect is Islam on both sides.
Yeah,
Which is
for
quite.
some reason, they don't want to know. They don't, I don't know whether it's a fear, is a Stockholm syndrome. I don't know what you call this.
I don't know either. I really don't understand it. I don't know. Like, I've seen it in all areas in Ireland. I don't know. They can't seem to understand it. They really can't. There's a lot of people even asking for ISIS Bride to come back into Ireland. Like, it's fucking
Mm-hmm.
insane. Like,
Yeah,
ISIS supporters back into Ireland. It's like, oh, well, they made the mistake. They don't even have, they don't seem to care. And I'm like, even, the fact that they tortured and they killed and they did whatever, or they were involved or helped in this training. Oh, well, it's like, I don't know, Elvis, whether the whole lot of them have been poisoned or brainwashed through their bullshit media. I don't know. It's beyond me. I just don't understand it. They don't seem to be able to get it. They come out with the same bullshit. Oh, we have to take responsibility. Sure, if we don't take them in,
mm-hmm.
then we're leaving a door open to anybody who can get their passports or
Mm-hmm.
their citizen. And then when I explain to them, say the Omagh bombings. Everybody remembers the Omagh bombings and how
Yeah,
it was, pregnant women and were murdered and blown up to bits, right? Everybody remembers that. How
yeah,
about America turned around to Ireland and said, you know what, those Omagh bombings aren't actually Irish. No, 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 they're American citizens. We're going to bring them back over here. And then another politician, like Mary Lou, Loopy Lou from Sinn Féin, giving her a house and saying somebody is giving them a house. Now, everybody in Ireland knows they're Irish. But the
yeah.
Americans are arguing that they are now American because they're citizens. They got a citizenship. Like, it's completely bullshit. There'll be an outrage all over the world if that happened. So why isn't there an outrage now? I don't know, Elvis. Even at that, they kind of stop and they have to think about that because I think it's this whole protect the brown people thing. I think. And even Sri Lanka, even though they're brown, that seems to just totally confuse them. There isn't really a huge outrage.
No, as you can see, it's not relative in here, right? It's not a matter of color. They're not protecting color, but they're protecting Muslims because of their religion. And I have already explained that, why the West, why the left embracing Islam. And I already explained that in another program, if you remember.
Yeah.
You see, do you remember when the New Zealand shooting happened?
Yeah.
For over 2-3 weeks, we had on and on and on and on, non-stop sympathizing with the
absolutely
so-called, as the Clinton and Obama called it, Muslim community, and they calling they're calling now the people who were in the church as Easter worshipper. And the Easter, some people don't know, Easter is the goddess of Saxons, right? I don't know how painful it is for these people to call some people Christians. You see, it started in America, and it came here now, right? As Christmas is not Christmas, is a holiday. So happy holiday, right? Happy season or something. Look,
seasonal greetings or something. Stupid like that.
Yeah. So what it is, these Clinton and Obama been calling these people as Easter worshippers, not even Christian. They don't want to. But when it comes to Islam and Muslim, Muslim community, beloved Muslim community, they've been hurt. Right? Today, 24th of April, is the 104th anniversary of genocide of Armenian took place in Turkey. 1.8 million people were slaughtered, right?
Explain this, because a lot of people still don't understand. Armenians were Christians. They were slaughtered by Muslims. It was a genocide.
That's right. It was a genocide. 1.8 million. It's a large number of people. Yeah. So imagine, there is no sign of it. There is no memory of it. There is no even a quick message on the television or something that today is the 104th anniversary of. They don't want to know. You see, I did explain to you the other time, for example, the genocide of Assyrians is another one. Nobody even know. When I'm calling myself and I'm saying I'm Assyrian, people say, oh, Syrian. No, I'm Assyrian, not Syrian. Don't even know about me, Rook. You go to any people in this country, say I'm from Chechnya, they immediately know where is it. Say I'm from Burma, they immediately know. Say I'm from, I don't know, such and such, they know. I'm Kurd, they know. When you say I'm Assyrian, say, what Syrian? On the 1st of February, right? Sorry, 1st of April, it was my new year. And I'm going to tell you how long we've been on this earth, My new year this year was 6,769. Oldest than even the Jews. There are about 5,000. My history goes, my calendar date goes back to 6,700. And people still don't know who I am when I'm saying I'm Assyrian. What Syrian? The genocide, the second genocide of Assyrians is dated 1933 to present. Now I'm talking to you, they're still killing my people. And nobody talk about it.
And that's the language Jesus spoke, isn't it?
Sorry?
You speak the language Jesus spoke.
Yeah, I speak Aramaic.
Amazing.
And by the grace of God, I'm from the family of St. John the Baptist.
Ah, amen.
And just to tell you the level of brutality, you heard in France, for example, in average, 2 churches every day was torched, right?
Yeah. Nothing beats
Nobody
heaven.
talked about it. Not
Yeah.
a single minute we heard about it on any news, right? 105 churches has been attacked or burned every month. 345 Christians are killed for their faith-related reasons, every month. Sri Lanka's massacre, had over 6 times over the New Zealand's mosque attack,
Yeah.
And now what the media doing, including the liberals and Mr. Obama and Clinton, everybody blaming the Christians or they call them white supremacists, that we are the blame because we are the one going and kind of irritating, or offending the Muslim. So the Muslim doing a retaliation, you see.
Yeah.
So can you see how dirty it goes?
Yeah.
How many times do you remember that the Westerns or the Christians attack the Muslim? And how many? Look, the guy who basically was a one as they say, lone wolf.
If he was Muslim, he would have been called a lone wolf or mental problems, mental illness.
Absolutely. Yeah. He was mentally ill. He wasn't right. He was this. He was that.
Lone wolf was just an odd,
Yeah.
odd, strange thing that happened to him.
Yeah. Also, imagine they never ever called any of these people as a Muslim or relate the things to Islam. Most when the whole there is no way they can bloody deny it. The maximum thing is they come and say religious extremist.
Yeah.
Religious extremist, not Muslim, not Muslim
extremist. Because they can't deny it's Muslims or Islam,
Yeah.
so they have to call it the extremists, but they're not, religious extremists. Not even
That's right.
Islam.
Not even a Muslim extremist, religious extremist. So hold on, religious extremist, you sort of, it can be Buddhist extremists, Hindus extremists, Zoroastrian extremists, Jews extremists. But hold on, is Muslim.
Yeah.
Why like when they come and sort of they're saying, oh, he's an Asian. Well, sort of hold on. You accusing sort of Chinese, Japanese, Filipinos, all that to be in a sort of in a grooming gang. They're not.
No, I actually had that on my program last night about that actually.
Even believe it or not, one of the guys actually his video was released. Not only released, it was kept on the YouTube. Imagine if it was my video, immediately they will close my channel. This guy called Zara al-Hashi. Zara al-Hashi was one of these guys, the suicide bombers, and his video was released that he said whoever is against the Muslim, should be killed. So his video was
claimed that it's there. So they're delighted with themselves. That must really piss them off every time the left try and hide it as religious extremist or lone wolf or mental. It's like, Islamic terrorists are like, how dare you steal this? We've blown up your people. We want attention. A fucking lunatic lat's going, oh no, it's nothing to do with Islam and the Islamic terrorists. Yes, it is. It's like, it's totally mental. the way they go on.
Yeah. So his video was let freely to be circulated, and even Al Jazeera reporter came and said, saying his name on the media or on the news, he was Islamophobic.
Yeah.
Why did you say his name? You are an Islamophobe, because this guy, he was one of them. You are not allowed to say his name because it's obviously make it clear that it was a Muslim attack. It was an Islamic attack. Oh God. And what else?
So the Armenian genocide is pretty horrific that there's been no coverage on that at all. It's really, really awful. So sad that, Christians, they just really, the New World Order is Antichrist. We are living in the time of Antichrist, and I think Hillary
yeah, definitely, for sure.
and all the leaders making it clear.
100%. You look, even they so obviously, so clearly in front of everybody, they bring in the crosses down on the churches, right?
Yeah.
In the churches as well, to say, oh, you know what, because we're going to put some refugees in there, and the cross might sort of hurt their feeling. I beg your pardon. So it is going to be hurting their feeling, and I'll bring my cross down in my land, in my home, because so why they coming here?
Yeah.
Why they coming here? That's the thing. Why these people come to my land? Why they're not going to somewhere, Islamic, or their land, or
Exactly.
their, so they can nicely live, and sort of, everything matches there.
It's not even their fault. I don't even blame them as much. I mean, they just use their advantage. But our government, something like 4 out of every 5 houses, I'm not joking, that are being made now or being built are going to non-Irish, and have to be, through the EU and the Irish government. And these will all be Muslims. They are.
Yeah, imagine if that was a Muslim, it was a Christian attack during the Ramadan, on the Muslim. I promise you, it would be months, not weeks, months on the news, on and on.
Attack, Jesus, Elvis. We wouldn't have Facebook. There wouldn't be WhatsApp. There would be no phones. There would be a complete alert. Every mosque in the country would be guards and whatever police all over the world, not just in every country. Even countries that haven't got a tiny population of Muslims like Ireland would be absolutely overrun. The mosques would be guarded with the army and God knows what, and any Irish person or walking by would be a suspicion. It would be insane. If this was the other way around, there would be, oh my God, the amount of pampering, the amount of outrage would be, there was freedom of speech would be gone.
Forever.
All our lives would be gone. If this was the other way around, we wouldn't be able to walk down the streets without the military looking at us. And that's in every.
For 50 people, the New Zealand Prime Minister, she was wearing the hijab. She even spoke Arabic. She brought the Muslim inside the parliament, which was a sign of submission.
Absolutely.
That was a sign of submission. When you bring the Muslim inside the government, inside the parliament, that is got the meaning. Lots of people, I bet 99.9% didn't get the message. They don't know, but I know what I'm talking about. These people were brought as if, why in the parliament? You ask yourself, why in the parliament? What does it mean? What do you do in parliament? You create law. And what she said, you are the one, the rulers, the new rulers, you are the one decide, you are the one. So is a Sharia law is coming. That was the message, clear.
Absolutely.
Right? So
And I'm
submit
pretty
it.
sure that law would be in if that was the other way around. I am telling you, we'd all be on lockdown. Anybody who's ever criticised Islam or the EU, the UN would be they'd all be locked up. There would be attack on so-called white supremacists, which basically means anybody who's even dared to have an opinion about Islam. There would be a complete crackdown. The amount of people being locked up for bullshit reasons, it would be insane. Absolutely insane.
Yeah.
It would be scary. If this was the other way around, the government would come at us full force.
Imagine the flag came half-mast. Yeah. My beloved Queen of England, supposed to be a protector of the faith, and that is obviously Christianity.
Yeah.
She hasn't been out even on the Easter to pass a message, Easter message, or congregate people or something. Yeah, she didn't.
Wow.
She didn't talk about it. But when the Muslim died in New Zealand, the flag of the Buckingham Palace came half-mast. They stood in silence in Parliament. They, I mean, you know, what is the difference between people and people for the governmental people, for Queen or Ram? I want to just know.
It's unbelievable.
I'm not saying killing innocent people is right. It doesn't matter any color, any nation, anything. Killing innocent people is a cowardice act. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But when lots of people been killed, especially in Sri Lanka, they were all poor. You look at these people; they're all poor.
Yeah, and a lot of them were only kids as well and had just made their first Holy Communion. Heartbreaking, they were buried in their Holy Communion outfits. And for governments not to come out and even acknowledge they were only babies, they were only like 6 and 7, they make their Holy Communion at. They were
You can
buried
see
in
clearly they don't care about Christian and Christianity. They really don't. They
No.
given it to Muslim. They love Muslim. They absolutely adore Muslim. For any reason I don't understand. Yeah, they love it.
Anyway, we'll wrap this up. But yeah, it's shocking times, Elvis, we're living in, and it doesn't seem to be getting any better. Have you put your name down for the May elections? Are you going for it? Are you going to do anything about that?
Well, I was gonna put my name for the local election
Yeah,
as
do.
a candidate, but unfortunately, the UKIP branch in my area is not sort of very active, and I think now it's too late to.
Not always independent. Just go down. Just put your name down.
Still, it's too
Elvis.
late. Still, it's too late. Still, it's too late because I still got to actually do some leaflet and kind of say what I'm up for. And it's too late, really. It's too late. But I was hoping these people actually do something. But anyway, hopefully next time.
Yeah.
We lost it.
I don't know because England is completely different. I have no idea. But I know in Ireland, all you have to do is go down with photographs and you just give €100 in and you just put your name into the pot. I don't know what the situation is in the UK.
I'm still going to talk to some of the seniors and see what's happening. I think they're having a meeting on the Friday, so I'm gonna see what I can do if it's not too late, which I believe it is.
Because I think
if there's a chance I can do it.
Because a lot of people still have interviews this week and next week. Like some of the people have their posters up already. But like a lot of people aren't even having posters because they're like the UK, people are frightened. There's nobody even going around door to door. Years ago, there used to be people going door to door. They're frightened because of the backlash of the anger towards the government.
That's right. I can imagine. Anyway, thanks for having me again.
Thank you so much, Elvis. You are so wonderful. Thank you for all your knowledge and your brains, which we desperately need to try and wake people up. It's a difficult, dangerous, scary situation. Like, as I was saying at the beginning of this interview, I was telling you my experience of Northern Ireland. And the difference with that and all that, everybody knew who everybody was. And it was very clear lines. You know, you were born into that line, and that you always knew what line you were. Like, say you're Catholic. If you're Catholic, you knew what line you are. If you're Protestant, and even if you're in the South, you were still green. Everybody knew what colour. With this, it's like everybody is so more, for Muslims, the lines aren't clear and they don't even understand, where before it was very clear and everybody knew, you know.
Sadly, our conversation actually broke to a couple of pieces, and kind of, you know, I had prepared some Quranic verses to give a reference to them, that any of these things happening, it's not really by the, as our politicians saying, individuals or some hardliners or something, but it comes from the source of their faith and belief, which is Islam and is the Quran. And I had series of them basically here, possibly about 7, 8 of them at least prepared to read, but unfortunately it's late. But all I'm saying is they're all reference to their Quran, you know.
If you have time tomorrow, I'll give you a shout and we can catch up with this, because there was quite a lot to catch up. There was 3 big kind of things today. It was the Northern Ireland, the Sri Lanka, and the Armenian. So we kind of took a bit of time doing that. So it's probably better short blocks anyway. So if you can, I'd love to call you tomorrow and catch up with those verses, if that's okay with you.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, that's fine.
You're very good. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for giving us your time. You're fantastic. You are a wonderful, wonderful man. Thank you so much. Thanks for all your knowledge.
Have a lovely evening. Yeah.
Have a lovely evening, Elvis. Thank you very much.
And cheers. See you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you. On the Bonnery Show, ITV.ie and Irish News Radio. That was a wonderful Elvis. So we'll be catching up with him tomorrow. So I will talk to you tomorrow. Everybody have a good evening. It's the Bonnery Show at 8 in the evening.
Listening to Irish News Radio at irishnews.net. Email news@irishnews.net.